Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Uh, so we have wonderful panel out here. Sumanta, Akshay, Ankush, Saahil, all being part of wonderful businesses and different verticals. And today's topic is all about how conversation can be leveraged within the commerce itself. Now, we've seen a large purification in terms of smartphone usage and the cost of data going down. Uh, we started the commerce from web, then we moved to mobile. And, we've seen a lot of advancement in terms of getting the users to come on the platform. There are a lot of advertising to, ring fence the users, bring them to the platforms. Uh, and, there's a lot of effort which has been put in doing so. But as in we are advancing, user has a lot of choice and disruption in terms, or it have if I have to use the right term, I mean how intrusive we are trying to bring the user to spend on the platform, doing a commerce. So what we have seen is a sort of a carpet bombing which happens, and this is very random, so that understanding somebody wants to buy something, let's push an ad to him, and we can get him to come on platform and spend something on our platform as well. So things are changing now. If you see that we have 40 billion conversation which are happening on 4 messaging platform, 100 billion users which comes worldwide on the conversation. So the topic today that we are going to discuss from the esteemed guests is in terms of how we can leverage this sort of a platform, right? And what is that conversation has to do with the commerce itself. So I would start, throwing a question, understanding from the esteemed guest out here. So the first question, I'll just start with Sumanta. Uh, what is the need for innovative channels to drive online commerce right now?
Uh, Thanks, Tabrez. Good morning, everyone. So, as Tabrez, you were mentioning the word carpet bombing. So, carpet bombing is something that marketers do, which is a part of their spray and pray strategy. That's not quite the best strategy to have. So, in absence of other, other channels, we resort to sort of a spray and pray properties. So when you talk about when we are talking about the new age marketing, where personalization is kicking in, where moment marketing is kicking in. So these are the ways where where you come in. So when there is exactly the right occasion for your product to be pitched in. So so when somebody is discussing around the project, this is the right time where your brand could be put in, and rather than sort of putting it everywhere out there and people to search and see and feel, at times they sort of say these guys have been chasing me too much, let's not even associate with them, and you have absolutely no knowledge of what they are talking about, why they are talking about. So that context is also important. So basically personalization, context, and as a marketer, we want our communication to reach the right set of audiences and give us the transaction or the conversion that we are looking at. So all three things, when we brought together, is something that we will look forward to.
So relevancy and context, I think those are the key important metrics, to get the user to transact and do commerce. Akshay, I mean, I would want to understand from you, this entire need for this innovative channel, how important is it for the commerce?
Yeah, so I think, if you look at just how the customer behavior has evolved with the past couple of years, right? A lot of the behavior evolves in terms of how the entire ecosystem of digital or the online space have actually evolved, right? So of course, I'm not going to go into the web 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 sort of phenomena, but a lot of the behavior we've also seen of customers is that we want things now, we want it, at the point of when we require it. And that's actually sort of made us as marketers believe that we need to be at every different touch point at which a customer is probably consuming content or interacting with the brand. It's no more about a share of voice, it's almost become like a share of conversation. We keep hearing these numbers that, almost 4 to 5 hours of a person's time is spent on a conversational medium in today's day and age. It could be, on either talking to a chatbot, could be on the messenger service as well. So if we can be a part of those conversations at the right touch point on the app that the user is actually consuming his content on, the chances of us actually creating either awareness or the consideration or the conversion becomes a lot more higher. So I think as marketers, it's almost become now, it's a given that we need to be on chat platforms through chat-enabled bots, for example, or AI and ML kind of platforms, which allow us to sort of push the consumers down from the funnel. Because eventually, I think as marketers, we're looking at how we can really create a conversion at some point in time. Those are the kind of metrics we're sort of tracking for the brands. So I think being innovative in that sense becomes very important to ensure that we're able to capture the mindset at the right point of inflection. And yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is what I feel as well. That relevancy and context that Sumanta talked about. It's not that somebody is going to a website and basically discovering a product. He is going to transact, right? So how do we basically identify and build that cycle of the user journey so as to make sure that he's going to transact? Now this is where the conversations are becoming very important, because these are more personalized, direct, right? Consumer to a brand or consumer to a consumer, maybe in terms of feedback, experiences, or anything. So next, I'll go to Ankush to understand, conversation as a relevant channel, right? How do you feel that? Ankush and Saahil, probably, if you can just talk about this, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks, Tabrez. You see the conversations in commerce, right? So I always try to go to the basics. What is the natural way for us to interact? It's conversation, right? So we are doing conversation, and think about the brick and mortar and physical and the natural shopping we do. We go and we actually converse, right? कि भैया मुझे ये दे दो, ये कितने का है, right? That's what we do. And that's a natural way of doing a shopping, a commerce. And I think all the digital things we talk about, we have not reached there yet, right? It's click-based, and we have different lingos in the technology and digital words. I think we are still not able to pick up the natural way of commerce, which is conversation. I think that's a major reason why our online digital e-commerce is still around 4% in India, right? So I think all the tech guys, what we speak, it's all around 4% of the market. I think it's less of us we talk about. How about rest 96%? How do we bring them to e-commerce, right? And the grocery, right? I was reading it yesterday. The grocery is still less than 1%. The grocery people buying online, right? So if we bring conversation in the technology, I think as Akshay spoke about the chatbot. Still, the chatbot, most of the times it's text, right? Or decision trees click through. So, but again, what is the natural way of doing commerce? Conversation, but voice, right? And we see video as well. So video in the real life, you see, when you go to the shop, right, the field of vision is around 170%, right? Maybe I'm looking at the state, but I can see who is sitting here and here, right? I can see 178% at one point in time. That's what, when we go to a standalone store or shopping mall, I can see actually more stuff. That's why we are able to buy more, see more in less time. But when we do digital commerce, e-commerce, I can see flat, which is around, how much? Around 90, 90 to 100 degrees, right? So we are not able to utilize our peripheral vision, which is around 80, 90%. That's why I always talk about the video commerce for us. For me, the video commerce is not someone is talking about the product and pitching it. Video commerce is I should be able to see the physical store online in the form of, say, 360 or VR, so that I see the product as I see in the physical form and do the voice commerce saying, भैया मुझे 5 kg आशीर्वाद आटा के 5 बैग दे दो. अभी कितना हुआ? the bot or virtual assistant would say, 1000 रुपया हुआ. अच्छा 2 निकाल दो, अभी कितना हुआ? 800 दे, 800 हुआ. अच्छा order कर दो. And what I'm saying, we are actually doing that. So in IRCTC, Ask Disha is created by us. So where people can actually say, hey, I want to travel from Bangalore to Delhi day after tomorrow. Can you help me book a train ticket? In Hindi and other languages also. So I think when we think about the basic, when you try to bring that basic stuff in technology, I think the adoption would increase. And then we can add, so sorry for this thought. And we can add, I think, more flavor to it and optimize it. But I think about the 96% of the market, which is untapped for all of us, the marketer and digital marketers.
So Converse, I mean, when we're talking about conversation, right, Ask Disha is one of the best example because multilinguistic, helping customer to get to the right medium. Saahil, over to you. I mean, understanding how conversation can be relevant to the commerce.
So I think he very rightly said that we go back to basics of saying that we need to have a conversation with somebody, and a conversation has to be two-way. Fortunately or unfortunately for us, again, like rightly he's mentioned, that we haven't got there where we are being able to have a, really essentially a video chat with, with our end consumers. But I think what the small tweaks we can do is, at least as a marketer, for me, it starts at the top of the funnel. It's also much before the person even lands onto your app or on your website. It is when you are actually taking him through even what your product is. I think even there, if the touch point can be slightly more conversational rather than being more dictatorial or trying to sell a product, I have personally seen a difference in conversion when a consumer is hearing it as if you are conversing with the product, right? You're actually, back in office, we say, you actually make love to the product, because at that point of time, it's like a conversation, right? And it's a conversation one-on-one with the end consumer. When you move on to your app, so you move on to your website, I think there are a lot of live options. When I say live options, we've again seen there was, a year ago or 2 years ago, lives used to just be one of those things. Today, we are seeing when lives happen, people are also finishing their entire purchase cycle at that point of time because they feel there is a connection, there's a conversation. So apart from your chat bots and apart from, your WhatsApp commerce and all of that, I think it becomes very important on, social and video commerce, because that also is a form of conversation, but that is what is available to us today, and we should try and, utilize it. Even when it comes to marketplaces, people are doing M Lives. I think Myntra does a very good job of an M Studio, right? You're seeing an influencer, he's having a conversation with you, he is getting you dressed for your New Year party, and he's wearing those clothes, and those clothes are also available for sale. But that is by the way. The first touch point is, I want to get you dressed. So I think that conversation today is, I think, also finishing the loop for the consumer to know, acha, maine dekha, main iska kya karu? Right? So it's not just finishing at dekha. It is, okay, maine dekha, I know how to use it, and I know what to go back with. So yeah.
What you're trying to say, Saahil, out here is personalization is a key out here, right? If I take everything out of it, now that personalization being attempted through social, video, conversation, is going to bound the customer, to have a footfall on your app or, website. Because, until unless he doesn't feel personalized or relevance, like, Sumanta said that, relevancy. So I'll give you an example that how it has been working. So we being, I am just not trying to promote Bobble out here, just giving an example. When we see the chats happening, we see a lot of intent being broadcasted, right? And we are a platform who does not serve ad at all. Being an independent platform, because what we see is those intents are something where we can capitalize upon. So what we do is, as soon as you say, hey, I'm planning to buy a shirt. So that shirt within the conversation is an intent. Now, if during that time, a brand like, a D2C brand or an online commerce can suggest certain products within the keyboard, thinking it's to be a super app, the chances of conversion and personalization is too high. It could be, he's looking at a red shirt, right? So that red shirt, if it is suggested to the user, right, he's most probably going to buy it. Rather than, I'm just throwing ads onto this customer wherever he goes because, as per any DMP or any data, he's a guy who's interested in shopping. But it's non-relevance because it's not coming over there. So next, I would want to have this, thought process coming from Sumanta, because we're talking about context to conversation to commerce, right? So, what do you feel the relevance of context in the conversational marketing to drive commerce?
Yeah. So basically, so when we talk about context, so in a normal conversation, so basically there is always a context, so you suddenly don't jump up with the topic. Even when we talk amongst ourselves, you just don't jump up or say random things. So if the normal way of advertising is like somebody is talking about something else and you completely off the cuff you're talking about something else, that's a very jarring experience to the customer. It's like, whatever, do they even understand what we're talking about? Right. So, somebody talking about apples as a fruit and, Apple MacBook coming up as a, so, so that's the sort of, jarring experiences that might happen. I'm not saying that happens, but just a very, very outlandish example. So, so context in regular conversation is important. And so it happens, so basically it happened with me, when I was, I wanted to look at a card and which has a zero forex conversion charges. I was looking at researching different banks, etc. I have a banking relationship, and I pinged that lady to ask, like, do you have something like that? And and I was traveling next 2 days, or maybe next week, I was traveling, and she had all sorts of, she bombarded me with all sorts of mutual funds and, planning and investment and all that. I was like, do you even understand what I'm talking about? So basically, I ended up blocking that lady on WhatsApp. So basically, this is where the context really comes in. If you don't want people to block mentally block themselves from your communication, context is a primary key here. So as an individual, block that person out because they do not understand the context, why I'm looking at it, why. She could have come up with questions, we have this about cards and, we can give a waiver when you come back because you're this kind of a customer, that kind of a customer, would have made sense. A person who is focusing on a travel 7 days ago, why do you need to put mutual funds to that person? That's not the right time to put a mutual fund because that's not the context there. Because if I would have been talking about a investment or a bank account or a FT or a RD, maybe she could have come in there.
So a typical example for sort of cohorting a customer basis in ARPU, right? That if he has an Apple phone, he is definitely a high-end customer. Assuming that a youngster millennial today within the salary of let's say 40-50,000 can afford to buy an iPhone on installment, that doesn't mean that this is the traditional way of cohorting a customer, saying that he's an Apple user, so most probably he's going to buy the most expensive things, right? We assume rather than getting into the context whether he's an end buyer or not.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that is what you completely miss when you look at data at a device level, at a state level, at a gender level. When you look at that kind of data, so that kind of misses that does not have a context. So I know if you are say gaming enthusiast, it's not 24/7 you are playing a game, right? So it is a part of your life. That is not your life. You have you have your friends, you have your work, you have everything. I can't sort of start jumping in 7 o'clock in the morning. Hey, why don't you come and play a game? Because he has to go about his day. No, you wake up and don't start playing games, right? So they have their entire life. So I know that in the evening, when they're settled and everything is done, and then so that gives us the context. Now they have the peace of mind, and then now they can play. So basically, it is not about that. Okay, I got this is a gamer. So since morning I start bombarding him with messages like why don't you play a game? Why don't you play a game? So what I'm doing, even if he has the potential to play a game, he'll like block me. Give me a break. I don't want this right now. I have 10 other things to look into. That is where, right, the context comes into the place.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is, I think, evident from the sort of footfall that you get on your gaming platform. Ankush, your thought, chatbots and everything, it is more personal. You tend to understand the conversational aspect of the user, whether they are trying to book a ticket, they're trying to take an assistance. How does that help?
Yeah, so we got around 1 billion users and still we are not able to actually figure that out what consumers want. But again, basics, right? So I agree what Sumanta said, but you see on again the natural flow of our life. So even if I'm in a store, standalone store, right? I'm buying something. Maybe it's medicine. I'll go back. Actually, I was in Jammu around a couple of days ago. I'm from Jammu, and I have seen, I was talking to a friend. I have seen a big cart selling apples for 25 rupees per kg. Can you imagine? I'm from Bangalore. I think in Bangalore it's around 350, 400 rupees, maybe around 300 rupees. But 25 rupees, I bought that. I had no intention to buy, right? And we were talking something with my friend. I had no intention. I really wanted to see why, it's rotten or it's tasteless. But I came to know it's kind of end of seasons and they have to sell it. So there was no context, but I bought, right? Similarly, think about the olden days when you go to a store and वो रेडी वाला जाता है नो टमाटर ले लो 5 रुपए के, and when the tomatoes are tomato are over 30-35 rupees, but whether you buy it or not, but your attention goes there. Now think about this the mall, right? So there is a context. You go to say vegetable section or maybe stationery section or staple section, but we still do impulse buying, right? Whether probably we are in the queue to the counter, or sometimes there are the kind of some ads going on, right? So I think we notice few out of the context stuff and we buy stuff out of the context, right? We go plan to buy something, but we end up buying more stuff, which was out of context. I think we need to have balance, and we cannot rule out both, but yeah, context is important, but sometimes it's okay, and people are okay to kind of, I don't know what kind of people are okay, when they are okay, we don't know. That's what the journey is, to figure that out and keep talking and keep getting ideas, but we cannot rule out just context-based, probably commerce is not the only thing.
Yeah. Sahil, want to understand from you. We talked about how context is very important for the from the conversation for the commerce. What do you think the end user benefit by sort of marrying and leveraging both context and commerce together? How is he benefited from that?
So yeah, I mean, actually, I do agree there has to be a balance between context and when the context is not being set. So I think the flip side of also seeing it is it's possible that you're going to buy, say, a Puma pair of sneakers, and maybe Skechers, you end up buying a Skechers, which is not even on the top of your mind. It's on a different floor. It's happened with me. But I think maybe Skechers were able to set the context better for me than probably a Puma did. So I think we do go back to, sometimes we find context. I think sometimes just being human beings and being consumers, we seek context. And I think we justify to ourselves, Tika, this is for me. Yeah, this is what I needed more, right? So we justify our purchase cycles for ourselves. So I think with where we are today, from a commerce perspective, things aren't getting cheaper. And I think the loop has to close for an end consumer. There is just so much information. Like the other day I was hearing, there was a time when we were in a space of, there was a lack of information. Then YouTube happened, right? And after YouTube happened, there was everyone was informed. Everyone could go search, do their things, learn, right? Courses do not happen. People are taking courses up on YouTube. Today, where we are in a space of information overload. There is, you ask for one thing and you will have 20 things related, unrelated, in context and out of context for you. So I think in the space we are in today, where we are in information overload, I think where you have context-related social commerce, I think the chances of you converting, I mean, in my opinion, an understanding of from at least the chatbots, WhatsApp commerce, and the live purchasings that I have been a part of these 3 cycles, there is at least about 8 to 10% difference in conversions, and that's a massive, conversion. Right, and I think Akshay will speak more about from an agency perspective how that impacts, because as a brand I can definitely vouch for the fact that it does. I see a difference when I look at my CACs, right? I definitely see a difference on that, and Akshay.
Yeah, no, I think I absolutely agree with what Saahil is saying, that for us as an agency, a lot of it comes down to, because we are able to track every minute detail. Right? We can track every single number that is sort of being triggered across all the platforms we're actually operating on. a lot of the pressure actually comes onto us as agencies saying that, okay, what's the LTV, the CACs, how do you bring down the ACOS? And somewhere conversational commerce actually sort of helps in that entire consumer journey because it's one more medium or platform where the consumer is actually interacting with the brand online. Or could be offline in some cases as well. But I think the biggest challenge that we could currently face is that because there's so much of information overload, how do you really make sense of it, right? And that's always a question saying that really can you make sense of the data that is being generated to give that context to the conversation. And I'll give an example. We recently did a campaign for Domino's. It was a very simple campaign, right, on Instagram. Said that drop an emoji in the comment section and we'll send you a promo code depending on your mood. Okay, very simple idea. We had about 5,000 promo codes being generated, but almost 43% redemptions happened on those promo codes. So we saw that from almost doing a technically free campaign to deploy from conversational commerce to actually converting was a big, sort of, I would say, in terms of sales for the brand, really spiked in that one-day campaign. And I think Saahil spoke about this word funnel, right? A lot of what we do today is to really bring the customer down the funnel as much as possible from that top of mind awareness to coming down to the conversion funnel. I think what conversational commerce today is allowing us to really deploy a lot of technology at a very fractional cost. The human intervention has come down substantially, which also reduces the overall cost of deploying a lot of these technologies. I think that's something that brands are really leveraging today. I think from a consumer standpoint, it's always that they tend to sort of leverage or at least get attracted towards brands who are more, I would say, quicker to respond. And I think about it, even as us, right? The moment, say, for example, our order doesn't come on time on Zomato, immediately we go on to the chatbot and start questioning. And if the response doesn't come within the first few seconds, we probably get a lot more irritated. So I think from a consumer standpoint, it's sort of become like second nature to go on to a platform where I can go and talk and I expect a response.
So Akshay, you're trying to
Actually,
say that,
I'll also extend on that. I remember there was a time when customer service, right? And I think till date, a lot of brands do that. And I think we have enough of those exhotels in all of the world today, which are automating line chats, gupshup, and a lot more. Wherein, after 6:37, typically when corporate hours get over, typically the call center is not available. I'm talking for at least the FMCG brands. For the brands who are available, it is amazing to see the amount of conversions. I mean, direct sales, dhanda, comes after 7 o'clock because that is when the girls and even for the matter, even the men, I'm talking because I'm slightly more from a women-centric, business of beauty and makeup and cosmetics. After 7 is when they're going home. They are in their Ubers. They are ordering stuff. They're ordering on Nykaa. They're ordering on your site, right? And if they are able to have a conversation with somebody at 8 o'clock at night, right? And we're talking Bombay, we're talking corporates. People are alone. Everyone's not chilling with their friends, right? Person gets back home and they have someone to talk to and they're saying, listen, you're buying this. By the way, this also goes very well with this. Your AOVs are just going up because she's anyways going to shop from you.
Absolutely.
But if she has an automated response saying, sorry, we're not available, we'll be able at 10 o'clock tomorrow in the morning, like, yes, thank you very much. She will buy still, but she'll buy that one article. So you will not be able to see a difference in your sales, but you definitely see a higher UPT, you see higher AOVs, which does drive it.
So I feel there's a definite need for humanizing the chatbots as well because
There has to be a time when they tip off onto a chatbot.
Yeah.
Like, first need to understand. Let's understand the context, like you said, right? Let's understand, are you just reaching out to me because you want to know where your shipment is and what am I tracking? Or do you genuinely have a concern? Like, if something got to do with size related, I can help you. But if it's color related, fit related, you really want someone to tell you, listen, not this, go for this. And then the bot takes you over for saying which is the best price, what more colors, what other sizes. But let's understand the consumer first.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the diagnosis versus the redressal, right? If we diagnose the problem correctly, it could be through buttons, it could be through an automation, but once that diagnosis is done, getting the right answer is the context actually.
I don't know if a person wants my foundation or concealer. Let's first understand.
Yeah,
Once
so what we are
understood, then he moves to the bot.
So discovery and searches are global. I mean, we search for products, we try to discover, there's a lot of knowledge, but we don't know where this end customer is going to transact. So that is where, from discovery to personalization within the conversation to, converting him to a sale is something where context and conversation becomes very important. So I might look out for something. I might discuss that over a WhatsApp. I texting, let's say, Saahil saying that, hey Saahil, I mean, the Puma shoes were good, but what do you suggest? What has been your experience, right? Now you say, I bought it, but probably Skechers are better, right? Now you have influenced me, but that's again because I've been able to see that conversation, right, happening. It has changed the perception, no matter, my discovery started from Puma.
But it's also after. So I mean, the interesting part today, or what I'm seeing other brands do, right? And I'll not name them because they are competition, but they are doing a very good job. That after my purchase cycle has gotten over, if I talk about a fashion brand, I think it was Collective or one of these, premium brands. And I remember I bought a red shirt, and I was not purchasing with them again. I get a WhatsApp message saying, "We see you like the color red." I was like, excuse me, like, it's like direct, like it was, you forced me to say, you got my attention. So it's been 3 weeks, I have finished buying that shirt. But they have very interestingly picked up not my choice of garment, they have picked up my choice of color, which was, I think, very, very sharp for me to notice. And I think I want to see how do I apply that to, makeup. Because their person buys lipstick. But if I'm going to probably see a pattern that this lady is buying certain shades of nude, maybe I want to now reach out to her a month after she has finished a purchase in a conversational fashion, set context saying, we see that you have a penchant for nudes, have you checked this out? I think that is where we are going today, rather than just saying, ye kharid liya, ab ye bhi kharid lo, ye bhi kharid lo, ye bhi kharid lo. So I think
I
that's
let
where
you
we are
complete, Akshay. You were
So
saying
I think,
something.
just my last point actually that I think we've spoken a lot about, and everything is very contextual to the conversation, of course, it has to be. But I think last point is that, even from the automation standpoint, even if the conversion doesn't happen, I've seen is that, if you're able to even acquire that first party email ID of the customer before that you start talking to the bot, even that in itself is a win up to an extent, because we keep talking about the fact that cookies are going to die, and this first party sort of becomes very, very important, and data, of course, is more important and valuable than oil. But even getting that email ID of the customer, in a way, is a starting point of the entire journey with the customer, the potential customer, actually. So even if you might be not in your working hours, but they've sent you an email ID saying, get in touch with me tomorrow morning, that in itself is enough to begin a journey with the end customer, and that in itself is a lot of value being added to the entire journey. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And what I've realized is, I myself being into data and everything, what I've realized is that, intent to a context is what builds the conversion. It's not just context, because like Sahil said that, probably a context of red has been picked up, but we have not seen the intent over there, right? So intent, context, personalization, all combined together, I think within the conversation is something which can complement your entire top funnel and lead to a conversion, right? And I've seen with Gameskraft doing that. I mean, I've seen beautifully being done by them, using a lot of data analytics, understanding the consumer journeys, their spend powers and everything. Sumanta, I hope, you've been doing that for a long time now. So, I mean, I feel, yes, conversation is the key out here. And that is where, the commerce is going to be in the next level. Platforms will become agnostic, and where the end convergence is going to happen, it is all about personalization, which is happening on the conversation itself. We can take offline, but thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Sumanta. Thank you, Sahil, Ankush, Akshay, right? Being a wonderful session. Thank you so much.